What's going on, everyone? Dr. Frankie here, and it is Thursday, and I'm here with another topic to cover for you all, and I hope you find it super helpful. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, before we jump into it, I hope that you will. And if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, please comment below. And if you want to learn more about what I do, my work as a clinical psychologist and board certified sex therapist and matchmaker and so on, please visit my website, drfrankie.com, littleblackbookmatchmaking.com, and littlegaybook.com. So let's just jump in today's topic. What you need to know about sex work. There's never been a time in American history or human history, really, without any form of sex work. Can you believe that? I know people that might be surprising to some folks. The rapid explosion of our digital world has meant that all kinds of forms of sex work have become not only more accessible to consumers, but that the barrier to entry to the industry is lower too. Since the beginning of the pandemic and the lockdown of, in-person jobs and hundreds of thousands of people having joined platforms like OnlyFans, and a looming recession may mean that many more make decisions like it. Sex work is inextricable from our cultural and economical reality. But what is it exactly? And what are you supposed to make of it? Here's what I think you should know. What does sex work mean in our current era? The term sex work can encompass a huge variety of activities. Anything that involves exchanging some kind of sexual services or content for money or goods is included under the umbrella of sex work or exotic labor. This can include, but is not limited to, stripping, performing for streaming audiences, or camming, erotic conversations with clients on the phone or via text, for example, selling photos or videos on a platform like OnlyFans, performing sexual acts like hand jobs or penetration for money, also called full-service sex work, or escorting, performing unconventionally sexual acts like kink scenes or professional domination, spending time with clients socially and sexually in an established long-term dynamic, like a sugar baby. The list can go on and on, really. Sex work also includes porn performers of all stripes, from those who have made a full professional career out of it, to those who moonlight, create their own amateur work, or work behind the camera. But much of how sex work is now contracted and performed involves the internet. In-person sex workers often find clients and communicate and schedule with them online. And the advent of digital video and payment platforms means that people have sex work careers based entirely online, believe it or not. Despite all of these differences, all of these forms of labor have in common that they're heavily stigmatized in the US, and that all are in fact labor. A job that's performed at will upon the condition of fair compensation, and which doesn't define the worker as a person outside of working hours. What's the difference between sex work and prostitution? There are a few differences between these terms, both in their meaning and in the cultural connotations of their use. First, while sex work encompasses a wide range of labor, as we said a moment ago, prostitution is usually used to refer to only a narrow range, especially escorting or full-service sex work. The second key difference to remember is that while no group is a monolith, including sex workers, the term sex worker is generally preferred by sex workers themselves rather than prostitute. For many, the term has negative and stigmatized connotations, and they feel it links them inherently to criminality and immorality rather than the more neutral association with paid labor. So there's a sheet, if you visit my website and at littlegaybook.com, where I have my blogs posted every week. You can read in more detail some information from Stella, a community organization run by and for sex workers. And it explains in detail, I'm going to just quote Stella from this article, which you can actually read in more depth on my site. Some of us call ourselves prostitutes, but recognize its negative connotations when outsiders use it. People use the word prostitute in different contexts to refer to legislation where the word prostitute is written into law, to refer to sex work that involves intercourse with clients, to refer to sex prostitution, to refer to debasing oneself, not necessarily in a sexual context, and to refer to history when the word prostitute was used with pride. How and when we use these terms will differ depending on our audience. Sex workers' rejection of the term is often based in how the public perceives prostitutes and prostitution rather than an inherent shame in the word itself. So is paying a sex worker immoral or cheating? At the end of the day, anyone performing sex work is a skilled and experienced provider of services who offers them in exchange for money or something else of value. Although sex itself is culturally fraught in the US and sex work is heavily stigmatized, the moral impact of engaging the services of a sex worker isn't meaningfully different than seeing a skilled hairstylist or a tattoo artist. As far as the moral component of seeing a sex worker, if you're in a relationship with someone else, that's entirely dependent on your relationship itself. Speaking extremely broadly, for most monogamous relationships, seeing a full-service sex worker would probably be considered cheating, and not unreasonably. There are some forms of sex work that are more normalized in the United States, especially in some specific social contexts. For instance, someone who doesn't like the idea of their partner going to a strip club may feel this is more acceptable on the occasion of a bachelor party. There's also a huge range of preferences and agreements possible within individual relationships. There are plenty of partners who would have no problem with their partner going to a strip club on an ordinary Tuesday night. It's considered common enough that many people find it unobjectionable for men to watch porn, even if they're in a relationship. But some of those same people might have more of a problem with it if their partner were watching live cam shows. It's crucial to do the work of communicating openly within your relationship about your boundaries and your preferences when it comes to sex work, managing expectations, and being clear about your requirements for your partner. Is sex work legal? As a huge variety of activities comprise sex work, there's also a wide range of legality and legal connotations related to it. Many activities under the sex work umbrella are technically completely legal to sell and to buy, including stripping, camming, phone sex, OnlyFans, and many more. Full-service sex work is illegal across the United States except in Nevada, where it's regulated by the state, and there are specific contexts in which a licensed worker is able to work. While this delineation may seem clear-cut, the reality of the legality of sex work is more complex than that. Full-service sex work is illegal, but it's still widely practiced. Some forms of it, like kink scenes that involve no penetration, and in some cases not even nudity, are technically legal, although they may still be subject to criminalization. At the same time, many forms of sexual labor that are fully legal, like porn performing or camming, are still effectively criminalized. Though there are no laws that prohibit it, policies like the ones that discourage payment processors from working with sexual service providers means that sex workers experience punitive measures, like having their payments frozen. So I hope that what I shared today is helpful for folks. If you have any questions, please comment below. I will be here next Thursday. I so appreciate you all checking out what I have to say and giving me suggestions about what to write about and what to talk about. And whenever you post questions, I love it. And I love to respond, and I will continue to do so. So definitely share your thoughts and subscribe. And I will see you all here next Thursday. Big hugs. Take care. Bye, everyone.